A few tech channels brought this to the forefront on Twitter, and I can't resist. It is so bad and full of such misinformation. This may be how The Verge builds a computer, but it is not how you should build one. This video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Now, what is a VPN and why should you care? Virtual private networking gives you the ability to securely browse the web by masking your IP and encrypting your data. You can even run ExpressVPN from your iPhone or Android device to retain your security on the go. A personal case where this came in handy: Germany restricts certain Netflix shows and radio stations like Pandora, which I didn't know beforehand, so by simply clicking this button right here and tunneling through, say, Chicago, I'm now accessing my content through Chicago instead of Germany. So, bye-bye restrictions. This is one use case, but you get the idea. Anyone and everyone could benefit from a VPN. Go to expressvpn.com/science or click the link below and get 3 months free with a 1-year subscription. Alright, so I have the video up here now. You can see it's only got about 29,000 views. That's not too much considering this channel has 2.1 million subscribers, but what attracts me more than anything is this like to dislike ratio here. So 839 upvotes and then 1,200 and roughly 16 or so downvotes, and that's not good. That's an F. That's an indication that the video is either extremely controversial or extremely inaccurate, and you're gonna find out here it's the latter of the two.
It's kind of out of date, and it's definitely not gonna hold up for Battlefield 5. So let's build a new one. You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000. And if you need help choosing the right parts for your build, there's sites like PCPartPicker.com that help show presets for which parts fit together, which sort of part conflicts you might have, and where to find deals on new parts.
Okay, so we're about 2 minutes in, and I'm not saying anything too controversial at this point. I do think that they've made a few generalizations, but nothing worth downvoting the video for. So let's keep going and see how cringy it actually gets here.
Pay close attention to the brace that goes at the back of the computer. You always have to make sure that you really hammer it in, because there's no screw. It really just has to go outside of the case and clasp onto the frame. It's pretty fast RAM. It's 2,666 megahertz, I believe. So it's pretty fast, and this motherboard supports that. By DDR4
standards, that's not too fast.
Now, which lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system. I'm just going to pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it. I just think it looks nice.
Okay, I was actually going to elaborate on why his statement regarding the PCIe slots is incorrect. They're not all the same, first off, and there are bandwidth limits, not assuming that these cards are going to hit those limits, but still, they exist, and that's why it does matter to an extent which slot you plug those cards into. But also, I just noticed that he has both of his RAM modules to the far right side, so he, I guess, is completely avoiding dual channel support because, I mean, this is just, some motherboards won't even boot. Like, you can't even get to the BIOS when you do this sometimes because you're just not supposed to. You have slot A, which is usually the second slot, and you have slot B, which is this far right slot, but he just completely ignored that. I don't know if he did it on purpose. Maybe his cooler's too big. We'll see what cooler he uses eventually, but that's not correct. That's actually super cringy.
I chose Corsair's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again.
Pretty sure you could get by with 650
watt. So all you have to do is take the brick
with the new cards
and make sure that you align it with these little insulating pads, so the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system. So just take it in.
I gotta replay this. I gotta make sure I heard this correctly.
So all you have to do is take the brick and make sure that you align it with these little insulating pads, so that the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
So that the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system. So you heard it from The Verge first, folks. If you place your bare power supply shell against your chassis while your PC is on, you will short circuit something, guaranteed. That is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard from any channel claiming to know anything at all about PCs. That is so, the statement is so dumb, but it's so funny.
These little insulating
I gotta hear it one more time.
And make sure that you align it with these little insulating pads, so the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system. Slide it in nice and easy until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back and make sure it's right up against the frame. Now you just take the required
I understand.
screws
Okay, hold
and
on, hold on.
tighten
Okay,
the
so
screw.
you're okay with the power supply touching the back side of the case, but it can't touch the base of the case because that's where it short circuits. I get it now.
So next step, we're going to install the CPU cooler. In this
boy,
case,
this'll
it's
be
going to go on
fun.
the top end of the case, and we're just going to have the hose hang out for a little
hose.
while until we install the processor, which is going to come a little later. Next step is we're connecting the power supply to the motherboard with a 24-pin cable. We're just matching that cable from the motherboard, threading it through the back, and attaching the 24-pin header to the power supply. So
Is
that
he
we can
doing
have
this one
of
at
the
a time?
connections
One
complete.
cable at a time he's
The next
plugging
few
into the
additions
power
will be
supply?
for the GPU, for any specific ports that the case has, for any lighting that the case has, the CPU cooler.
Okay, you
Just
can
gonna
keep
take
that
this little
on
plastic part
literally
out.
the entire time.
Just toss that out of here.
Okay, don't save that. It's
And
cool.
Now we have an exposed CPU holder, or rather slot, on the motherboard.
You haven't even
And we're
lifted
gonna
the
use
socket
CPU
lever yet.
applicator. This is a special little part that not everyone may get, but this motherboard that we
use
got
that.
from ASUS definitely does have. It's called the
Don't.
CPU installation tool.
It-
It makes it really useful.
just
if
drop
want to
this chip into the
install
socket.
A Core i7 hexa-core CPU.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've
Oh,
got
yeah.
one, and it's
You
an
got
8th
one.
generation chip, and
You
it's
got
ready
it,
to go.
bro.
And it supports overclocking. And light it up with the triangles that you'll see on the bottom left corner.
There's a triangle
And
on the
this will make it
board.
easier for us to apply it to the motherboard, and then apply thermal paste, and then
You
apply
just
a
dropped the
CPU cooler on top.
CPU into the
And we're
socket.
just going to carefully
You
lean it
literally
down into
just
the
did it.
system and make sure that everything lines up, and we're going to clasp
There's
it down
you don't
on
even
it,
have the
and we'll be
bracket
good to go.
on there. I think you realized halfway through filming that that was completely pointless.
Every CPU
Oh,
cooler actually comes with
this
a
is
bit of
gonna be
thermal
good.
paste already neatly applied in a circle around it,
Hmm.
but it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially PC building practice to have a little bit extra and layer it on top of the CPU.
He's sandwiching third-party paste onto the IHS with stuff that's already pre-applied onto the Corsair cooler, or whatever cooler he's using. That is so cringy. I've never seen that before. I've never heard that ever recommended before. It's probably not recommended for a good reason. You probably get some weird air bubbles and stuff trapped between them. I don't know, but I know that that's not conventional, and him recommending this on a site like The Verge is just a little disappointing.
The final portion is to add the CPU
Oh,
cooler
that
to the
application
top
process,
end
my
of
dude. You
the
spread that
processor.
all over, didn't
So
you?
you're going to see that there are 4
Look how
brackets,
bad that
or
looks.
rather
Just like, all right, let me get his finger out of there. Look,
screws in
move
here,
your hand.
brackets.
Move your hand. Look at that. Just it's like he drew a little maze with thermal paste all over the IHS, and then he's gonna sandwich that on top of what he's already got pre-applied on the water block.
here.
This
And
is
they're going to keep the cooler raised
Oh,
off the
gosh.
processor, but it's also going to be close enough to actually physically come in contact with it, like basically keep it cool. This is pretty much what you would see me do on a gaming computer. Test stuff out, and hopefully have really high frame rates like I am right now.
that gaming PC you just built is way overkill for League of Legends in 1080p. So for this to be your second game of choice to showcase for this gaming PC build, you have done the entire build a disservice. This is kind of a joke at this point.
I'm averaging 120 FPS, and that's
Obviously.
only because I've actually locked the game
Yeah.
to that frame rate, because I can get around 300 FPS playing League on maximum settings.
You don't
which
say.
is a little bit absurd, and you don't really need that, so
No,
I
because you can't
locked
see
it.
that on
Building
a
gaming
monitor
desktop
like that.
has been a great experience. I'm able to max out a lot of my favorite titles, and I'll be able to play a lot of upcoming titles like Battlefield 5 and Cyberpunk 2077 without worrying too much about the parts I have. And of course now we also have a computer to test and benchmark games here at The Verge.
Okay, I need to go back and look at this system
With
because
your Windows installation media on it. And
one other thing I want to
settings,
address,
native resolution, which we
cable
got to the post
management
screen.
didn't look
This is
that
where
great.
All of this fun stuff is happening. So we fully built the PC, everything's put together,
Yeah,
and
let's
we
go
got
back
to the
real quick.
everything's put together.
He only
at the
showed it for a
PC.
split second, probably because he's ashamed of it. Okay, look, he's got like his 24 pin running through here. He's got, I don't even know what that cable is. Maybe it's his EPS. Did he run his 8 pin through the front? Either this case has terrible cable management or he just doesn't know how to route cables. He's got a mess of cables down there. He didn't try to pull anything to the back. And he just didn't care to make it look pretty. And I'm sorry, if you're on a channel like The Verge with 2.1 million subs and you consider yourself, you know, a tech enthusiast channel, then you're gonna wanna keep things nice and tidy if possible. This literally would have required like 20 seconds worth of cable management, but he didn't even want to yank on cables because I don't know. This is like a parody video. That's what it feels like to me. I mean, look at this thing. And yes, that was his 8-pin cable. So he has his 8-pin EPS running through the front. He's got his 24-pin just kind of hanging. He's got his VGA supplemental 8-pin, it looks like right there. And it's just a mess. It's an ugly looking build. Definitely could have taken, again, a minute or so to clean this up, and then it would have looked at least much more presentable than the way he has it here. I don't know. This just doesn't look good. You know, when the producer at The Verge makes statements like this, you shouldn't expect too much in the way of actual content, in my opinion. What a pretentious thing to say, Phil. We should all bow down to your technical superiority, right? Because you guys type stuff and we film it. Honestly, if you were willing to approve this video, you have no place in the computer journalism space anyway. No intended rhyme there. I mean, the guy on camera might be completely hands-off when it comes to production, and that's fine. I'm not faulting him specifically. I just think that it definitely could have been conveyed much better than it was. Whoever wrote the script for sure needs a refresher, a really quick one in regards to PC building. The reason why I think they disabled comments and likes and dislikes is because they saw how many people gave negative feedback in the comment sections, including myself. I literally pointed directly to the timestamp where he talked about, you know, short-circuiting your system when your power supply is not standing on rubber mats, I guess is what he was trying to say. None of that makes sense. That's all misleading, and you're going to tell people how to build a PC the wrong way, and that's why a video like this exists, to shoot down any, I don't know, misconception out there that this video is accurate from The Verge, because it's not. Anyone who's built any PC at all ever knows that some of the things shown in this video were not true. Leave a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up if that was cool. Check out our sponsor again, to ExpressVPN. I appreciate their support in this one, and we'll catch you in the next video. This is Science Studio. Thanks for cringing with us.